Hello, hello, and welcome to the Wellness for Women show. And I've got a juicy topic to dive into today that might just change how you view your entire journey towards health, happiness, and beyond. And today I want to help you to untangle yourself from the outcome obsession that many of us can get caught up in, whether it's the number on the scale, a specific financial goal, or expectations in our personal relationships or businesses and careers. Too often we can find ourselves fixated on the end result. And this fixation can, if left unchecked, lead us to sabotaging our efforts as we ultimately get peed off that we are not where we want to be and that we end up then not taking the actions that we need to for our success, leading to us going around and around in circles. And in that scenario, we can forget to live and enjoy the moment and generally just be full of stinking thinking. What if I told you that detaching from the outcome could actually make you more effective, more successful, more happier? What if detaching from the outcome while still keeping it in your grasp is one of the secret sources to more peace and joy, meaning that you reach your goal with greater ease? And so, if that sounds like something you want to know more about, then obviously stay tuned. So, how do you know that you are overly attached to the outcome? How do you know if you are in the grips of this outcome obsession that I'm talking about? So, since becoming a coach, I have become a massive people watcher. I love nothing more than watching what people do, when they do it, how they do it, why they do it. And I also, with my AAA way process, of course, focus heavily on that first A, which is awareness. And it's all about getting a deep awareness not only of the people that I coach and belief code, but also an understanding of myself. And so when it comes to being attached to the outcome, I've seen this play out in my own life and I've seen it play out in the lives of others. How we can be constantly checking our progress, comparing to others, judging ourselves on output and perceived success. And believe me, I know how draining it can be. And if you're working on weight loss, are you obsessed with measuring? Are you obsessed with calorie counting, points, how much you weigh, the size of your trousers? All to the point where it's making you miserable. And how about your daily life? Are you fixated by the money that you spend or earn, your perceived business success, your career, your relationship goals? How do you know if this has gone too far? Well, ultimately, you know because you feel like crap. You're so focused on the outcome that every small setback feels like a monumental failure. And every time you think about your goals and the fact that you're not where you want to be, your heart sinks. You don't want to do it anymore. You want to quit. You feel inadequate and intensely dissatisfied. If this is you, ultimately, don't worry. I've got you and I want to help coach you through it. And ultimately, I have a strong belief that it doesn't have to be this way. Now, you might be thinking, but I'm not thinking about, if I'm not thinking about the outcome, if I'm not worried about it, if I'm not focused on it, I won't care enough to do anything about reaching my goals. I won't feel motivated to try if I don't push myself. Now, for me, detachment doesn't mean not caring about your goals. It's just about caring about them differently. And just think about it. When was the last time that you felt frustrated because the numbers on the scale didn't budge despite your best efforts? Or maybe you felt disheartened because despite working hard, your bank account didn't reflect what you hoped it would. It's something I see, I say all the time in my people watching, that gap between our expectation and our reality. And that's what often becomes the source of stress and, quite frankly, misery. And I always say that that gap between our expectations and our reality is where the suffering lies. When you're solely focused on the outcome, you often then tied to factors that are outside of your direct control. So take weighing in on the scale if you do this, because again, if you're in my membership, you don't have to do this at all. I have a whole workbook on scale drama for that very reason, because it's often such a source of upset. But how many times have you thought, I've had the atypical quote unquote good week, only to see the scale pop out a number that wasn't what you hoped for? And you then felt that crushing feeling of defeat. And sure, you can take action steps for your weight loss to give you an increased chance of that number going down. But really, you don't have any control over that gravitational pull in that moment. Got no control over that machine. It is just going to poop out the number that it's going to give you. And obviously, when we are looking at things, measurements like weight, and even if you're measuring anything really, our bodies react differently to food. We can retain water, our hormones can go up and down, and these can all impact our results, regardless of the food and the movement that we're doing. We can spend an extraordinary amount of time and energy focusing on those numbers at that moment in time. And what can then happen is that, of course, that disappointment leads to us losing sight of our goals and our dreams because we're so bloody annoyed with the fact that the scale didn't go down that we can then lose hours or days or weeks just trying to, again, get back, quote unquote, on track after a setback. But life and weight loss will throw us curveballs. There will be outcomes that we are not expecting. But if we're focusing solely on those outcomes, we're setting ourselves up for frustration. And detachment is about shifting that perspective to what you can control. So your actions and your reactions. It's about shifting your focus from the end result to the beauty of the process, to the actions, to the daily choices that are leading you on your journey. And by focusing on that process, you can then build your motivation and momentum and ultimately empowers you yourself to take action in a way that bullying yourself over that outcome never could. And the energetics are just totally different. It feels different. You feel better, and you find more joy in the process. And if you're finding more joy and you're feeling happier and you're treating yourself with love, kindness, and respect, then you will show up for yourself and your goals because you want to, not because you think you have to. And that's the huge difference. It's doing things because you want to, you get to, and you choose to, not because you think you need to, have to, and must. And each day becomes about what can I do right now rather than why aren't I there yet? And this shift not only reduces that anxiety, but it also enhances your engagement with that present moment. So you can take the action steps that will make your journey, your own personal journey, more meaningful, more enjoyable, and again, leading to the results that you desire. And this is ultimately what I can help you to build, or how you can build consistency for yourself rather than trying to force yourself to be consistent. So, why do we cling to these outcomes? Well, partly because of the way that we're wired. We're taught to aim for goals, to measure success in these tangible results, to make them smart. And whilst goals are important and setting genuinely smart goals can work, when they become our sole focus, you miss out then on the growth and the changes that could also still be happening, and they're happening right under your nose and you're not really noticing them, not necessarily always noticing all the good things. And so detaching from the outcome will help you to embrace that growth mindset. And that's where the value lies, in the learning and in the living of every moment, not just reaching some distant finish line. What are the pitfalls of this outcome fixation? So let's explore this more, the subtle and the not so subtle sabotaging of your progress and happiness. Because understanding these traps can help you to navigate away from them and towards a more fulfilling journey. So, trap number one that I want to cover off is tunnel vision. So, you've heard of the phrase, I'm sure you have, but just in case you haven't, this is ultimately where you're just looking at one thing, not looking from side to side. You're just looking down a long tunnel to where you think you want to be. And I understand some people might say, but again, what's the problem with that? I know what I want and I'm going to get it no matter what. Doesn't matter how I get there, as long as I get there. But here's the thing, you could be missing out on opportunities if you do. And if this is also all you're focusing on, you could be missing big pieces of the puzzle. Again, let's take weight loss. You're so preoccupied with hitting a certain number off the scale, you go all in, consistently showing up, doing the old diet ways, willpowering and knuckling your way through it, possibly in ways that you hate, but you just want to get to that goal. All you need to do is hit that goal. But what happens when you get to goal, when you've reached the end of that tunnel and you look back? Are you then happy with the journey that you've been on? Have you got to your goal in a sustainable way? And what did you miss as you were going down that tunnel? What monster maybe did you even create for yourself? Because maybe you were so obsessed with hitting your goals that you let your relationships falter, for example. Maybe you went about your weight loss in a way that was unsustainable or even possibly bad for your actual health. And because if all you're looking at is that number on the scale, you're perhaps not going to notice for the good or the bad what else is happening. So, what's happening to your energy levels, the relationship with yourself, your body image, the world around you, your overall fitness, which may either continue to be an issue to solve or a victory to celebrate that, again, you could have missed. And so, as I'm writing, or as I was writing this, I was thinking about Harry Potter. So, in the Goblet of Fire, where they're in the maze, and Cedric's running, him and Cedric are running for the goblet, and the hedgerows are all closing in, and all eyes are just on the prize. And then Cedric trips and falls and starts to get eaten by the undergrowth. And Harry's so fixated on the prize due to the literal tunnel vision that he's got, that he was just running down that tunnel, that he nearly lets Cedric get eaten by the trees. But actually, he stops. He stops himself in the middle of that tunnel vision. He detaches himself from the outcome and he saves his friend, albeit temporarily in this case. But it just really helped me when I was thinking about tunnel vision to just kind of see that picture and see it like literally as it sort of played out on that film, and how it can seem like nothing else in the world matters other than getting to that goal. But actually, there could be a lot of things going on either side of you and behind you which actually do matter, and you could be missing it all, the good and the bad. Trap number 2, the all or nothing mindset. So another pitfall. This mindset kicks in when we think that unless we meet our ultimate goal, we failed. It's either success or disaster, that there's no middle ground. And this type of thinking not only, again, diminishes our motivation, because usually you're then filling yourself with judgment and bad thoughts, but again, it can make your journey feel so much more daunting and less enjoyable. And again, I want to be clear here that being honest with ourselves about whether we are achieving what we're setting out to do or not is important. Taking ownership of our actions is critical to our success. But just like with that tunnel vision, we can then lose a lot of ourselves, as it often then leads to, again, this self-loathing and this judgment. And that leads into trap 3. And the final trap that I want to talk about is the trap of pressure and demand. So stress and pressure are the bed sisters of outcome fixation. Constantly measuring our worth or our success by whether we've reached a specific outcome can lead to significant anxiety and even burnout. And the fixation can then lead to cycle after cycle of negative emotions, because each time we don't see the results we want, our motivation takes a hit, we feel disappointed or frustrated, it becomes harder to bounce back. And it's a loop that feeds itself, pulling us further away from our goals rather than propelling us towards them. And it just doesn't feel good. Your brain won't like it. It will perceive your goal as them being dangerous and unsafe. And in order to try and keep you safe, your brain will then start and try to steer you away from your goal, the very thing that you're trying to achieve. And so the cycle continues. And this is something that gets created. It's called psychological resistance, which actually is what I'm just about to cover in a 10-week beta course that I'm just about to run at the point of recording this. So how do we step out of this cycle? How do we detach from the outcome and start enjoying the ride? So it's all about shifting your beliefs and shifting that mindset, taking time to identify who you want to be, how you want to think, what you want to believe and feel in order to get the outcome that you actually want. And if you want to keep your tunnel vision, your fixed mindset and your stress and pressure, can't even say it, stress and pressure, you do that. This is your life and it's your weight loss. If that's working for you and you do genuinely feel good with that, keep at it. I'm not here to tell you what to do or not to do. Just want to encourage a different thought process. But if you're like me and this feels like crap and that's not how you want to live, then let's do something about it. And so here's some food for thought. How can you find more enjoyment in the process? How can you feel engaged and driven, but in a balanced way? How can you focus on the process, not the outcome? What mind ninjury do you need to undertake? So this is what I call it in the membership, which is all about the mindset. And so in the membership, there is a ton of tools and support for you to tap into to work through this, remembering that your beliefs lead to your thoughts, lead to your emotions, lead to your actions, lead to your results. And ultimately, we can break into that cycle and change that process and then change those results, because you get to decide and build your own loving, unique path. So as you continue to embrace this process, this helps you to then build resilience as it shifts your focus from what's lacking and that scarcity mindset to what's progressing, what's going right. So again, you're less likely to feel discouraged by setbacks because your eyes are on all of the small improvements and efforts, not just the final goal. And the resilience can then empower you through into other areas of your life, giving you the grit and perseverance to help you through other challenges. And as you focus on your daily to-dos at work, and today's to-dos, work on building your suitable habits, you just work on habits that you want to do and that you can enjoy. So, for example, if your focus is on healthy eating as a regular part of your lifestyle, how can you make this easy? How can you make it more sustainable? How can you make it enjoyable? As then you're more likely to maintain those habits long term. These habits will then naturally lead to you achieving your goals sustainably without that yo-yo effect that we've often seen with sort of stricter dieting or intense and unsustainable regimes. I would also encourage you to do is to feel the feels. Get clear on what you are feeling. Are you feeling stress and pressure? How can you make your journey more peaceful and enjoyable if that's the case? Which obviously in turn is going to enhance your whole mental health, which of course links into your physical health because our mind and bodies are closely linked together, more so than most of us realize. Maybe you need to do some mindfulness or other modalities such as Reiki that I'm just learning, or belief coding to release the trapped emotions, or EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which I also like using. But it's also about finding the joy in those little things. Take time to find wins in everything that you do, to express gratitude, and all of those things can help you to remove that tunnel vision and fixation with the outcome. Hey, so I'm going to start wrapping up. That's it for this week. So what are you going to try? Let me know in the chat or comments wherever you're catching this, whether you're catching it live or replay as I'm recording this live, whether you're catching it on podcast or YouTube. Let me know in the comments, what is it that resonates with you? Leave a hashtag gem and then whatever it is that's resonated with you. And if you're one of the Wellness for Women members, this will be live in your portal later in the week. You can grab your complimentary resource that goes with this episode, which is going to be an outcome attachment assessment, which is going to help you to identify if you are in camp overattached or if you are camp don't give a crap, or if you've got the Goldilocks effect, which is ultimately just right. So I'm going to love you and leave you. So until next week, I'm going to say goodbye for now.